Hello, this is John Davis with Davis Business Coaching and Action Coach. I'm here with Gabe O'Neill, and he's with Digital Accelerant. And I'll just, Gabe, if you could just introduce yourself and your company and what you do, and we'll get started.
Okay, well, again, thank you so much for having me, John. But I will say that there's one thing I never, and you probably don't know this because we don't know each other that well yet. But I'm
Nope.
known as the godfather of the digital business card. So that's I always have to lead in with that. And
I'm the Godfather. Okay,
yes, and so
good to
and
know.
so there's that. But that's really what I did in 2019. I came across a way of getting to know people by giving them, basically it was a digital business card, and that grew into a business, making this long story very short, where I grew into a business where I create custom digital business cards for my clients that return business back to them. So that's what I'm involved with right now.
Okay, so who's your best customer? Who are the audiences that you're targeting?
Well,
Or to put it another way, who out there should say, "Hey, that's for me"?
well, I mean, it's actually, without saying everybody. I mean, because
Right.
it really isn't everybody, to be honest with you. But typically, the clients who use our technology are those who are speakers. That's a
Hmm.
good one because they can, to get my card, for example, you text the word Gabe to 321-421-5213. My card lands on your phone, and we capture that cell phone number. So if you're a speaker that's been able to speak in front of a bunch of people, I had one of my clients, Preston, who was at a trade show. He texted me. He said he got 492 leads in one afternoon by doing
Wow.
just that. And so that's a very, very powerful way. So if you translate that into podcasters, so speakers and podcasters, same thing. You're speaking to a large audience. All you have to do is either get them to scan the QR code that's next to me, or text the keyword, and they get my cell phone, they get my digital card, we get their cell phone number. So but when you see them, you'll see that, I say next to my name, it's a stunning product with astonishing results. It really is that. It's a stunning product. And so by getting it, you'll see that what we do is very, very different. We create custom cards that are, again, and they're designed to get people business, because not only from the technology, but because of the fact that they're so very different. They make people memorable, elevate their digital profile, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. All right. Very good. So one of my questions, that my typical questions, has to do with what you've changed in the last few years about your business. And here I can kind of assume you started in 19, which led to the 2020 virus thing, which in a roundabout way led to the revival of the QR code. I had a
Totally.
call the other day with somebody, how we were both, 5, 6 years ago, pushing QR codes, and everybody in the organization thought we were crazy. And the QR code's dead. Nobody wants the QR code, and bam,
Well,
it's back and it's here to stay.
yeah,
So,
the interesting thing about that was I never liked them because you had to have an app to use it. And
mhm.
when I and then somebody said, "Oh no, the cameras will recognize it." I said, "Great, I'm all in." So I started using them again. But then some phones still didn't have it. So it wasn't until much later till I started adopting them again. I just, anything that we do, it's got to be easy. It's got to be really simple to do. And you're right, the pandemic had a large effect on me. Actually, the pandemic released me. I'm here in Atlanta area, and I used to go to networking event to peddle these cards, basically, to be honest with you. But since the pandemic, we're doing everything virtually now. Everything, everywhere I meet is virtually. I can I'm in networking groups that are across the country, in California, Texas, all over the place. So it is, yeah, it's become a very, very powerful thing.
Absolutely. So I just did it while you were talking. I just scanned it, got the card. I mean, it
Hmm.
just, you scan it, it opens up the text, it texts it to you, and then bam, I've got your information, and there you are.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's so slick. So, um, what did you have to do to get the product out there, in the
Well,
last few years?
yeah, again, it was when it was March of 2020, And I think we all remember that day very, very well. But I
Yep.
was with BNI at the time, and we had just created. I'd been the chair of an event that was a networking event for that group, and that was the Thursday before that weekend where they closed everything down, and it was a fantastic event. I was on cloud nine. We had worked for months. There was 150 people at that event, and we had gotten so many leads from it. And I said, "Oh, this is fantastic!" And I'm a big shot in the BNI group now because they didn't know that none of them had ever even tried anything like that. And so then they said, "No, guess what? We're going to shut everything down everywhere. Period. You can't go anywhere." Oh my gosh! I thought, well, my business is dead. That was fun. But again, going back to finding these networking groups that are like, it was Centricity was the first one that I found. And then, they've got these Zoom meetings and they've got all these breakout rooms. And I really honestly thought breakout rooms were genius,
Hmm.
because it's a great, even if you network in person right now, it's hard to have a group like that where I think you can get to know people faster in a networking environment and on Zoom than you can in a personal one. I'm not saying which one's better or whatever, but for me, I prefer the virtual ones, because again, I can meet people from all over the country. But yeah,
Yep.
so it obviously really, really changed. But the quote though that got me was, when I thought my business was dead, was I don't even, I think it's Jim Rome or somebody said it. You can't adjust the direction of the wind, but you can't control the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sails. That was
Right.
what really stood out to me, and that's kind of what
So what'd you
that
do
was my.
different
I'm sorry.
other than getting on a bunch of virtual networking? What else did you do? Anything else differently, or just change the way you
Well,
engage?
for me, it's learning, always learning. I'll be honest. I wasn't born a salesperson. I wasn't born a
Hmm.
marketer. I'm a software developer.
Right.
I built things for, my whole life. I've got marketing savvy, thankfully, through my daughter's charity that we had
Hmm.
in the early 2000s. So I picked up that, and my dad was a marketer too. But as far as sales, I'm still learning. I'm still learning, the right way to build a system, a sales system, and all this stuff. So I'm always doing things differently, because I'm always growing and adapting and but the one thing I learned
If
as
you're
an
not
entrepreneur.
growing, you're dying. So,
I'm
and you have
sorry.
to learn to grow. If you're not
Exactly.
growing, you're dying. Then you have to learn to grow. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
But the one thing that I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, it was again, it's just always improvement, always growing, always learning, and just improving yourself, I guess.
Well, and especially in the marketing and the digital space, it
Hmm.
you have to continue to learn because it's changing daily, right?
Right.
I mean, there's so much rapid change in how people are interacting and doing what you're doing that you can't afford to sit idly by. If you do, you'll be behind in a month,
All
right?
right.
You
Mhm.
got to keep working. Is there anything now? I know some of it was kind of thrust upon you, like you said, the wind was blowing. Are there any decisions or actions you wish maybe you had done sooner? Maybe, maybe I know you just started in 19, but in
Well, I mean,
hindsight, yeah, I could have done this. I could have pushed.
again, there's always the armchair quarterback, right? There's always the
Hmm.
hindsight's 2020. But if I look back on how things have happened and how they're coming, and I'm not there yet. I mean, I think if ever a person thinks they're successful, that's when they think that's when the things start going downhill. So I'm
Right.
always hungry, right? And so I think as I look back on what's happened, and I've done a lot of things, we've added a lot of features to the card. We're still not there yet, but I don't think I would change too much because I'm pretty happy with my personal development and the development of the company. Yeah, I mean, if I had enough resources to hire somebody who's smarter than me and do all this stuff, yeah, we'd probably be leagues beyond right now.
Hmm.
But it's not just for me. It's not just about money. For me, it's also about I'm enjoying myself more now than I ever have, because this is now everything stops here. Everything this is, and I can't blame anybody else if this gets screwed up, right? So
Right.
um,
Exactly.
and we're providing value for people. This is really what I've always wanted to do, is to provide value for people. So the fact that these cards provide astonishing results, it just makes me happy. That's part of my payment.
You talked about learning earlier. What's the most important thing you've learned as a business owner?
As I believe that it was right when the pandemic happened, because that wasn't the first thing that hit us. There was a
Right.
bunch of things that hit us. And in the beginning I go, oh man, why does this happen to me? I mean, this shouldn't. What did I do to deserve this? And I'm sure a lot of people go through that. And then when I got to when the pandemic hit, and I'd already been through these other ones, I go, okay, I get it now. This is just going to keep happening, and it has nothing to do with me. It just happens to everybody. And to be a good entrepreneur, you need to recognize it, see it, and learn how to pivot and deal with it. And so I've been much more accepting of the the downside and the roller coaster. I think there was somebody I was listening to recently who said it's really not like we're all going through this roller coaster, right? I mean, that's how everybody seems to describe their journey in entrepreneurship. It's those who don't celebrate the high notes and don't rue the low notes too much. If you're kind of keeping an even thing, those are the ones that are going to make it through, and that makes a lot of sense to me.
Absolutely. It's interesting. You talked about pivot, and as you were talking, it got me thinking a little different. Pivot became such a big business term in March, April of 2020.
Right.
But what you're alluding to is it doesn't have to be a pandemic that causes somebody to pivot. It can be an
Right.
internal realization or learning that says, okay, it's time to do something different.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
what I'm doing is not working, or what I'm doing won't work in the future. Pivots can be come in all sorts of shapes and sizes.
No,
For sure.
absolutely. And there have been some before, and there's been one since that I've had to deal with. It had nothing to do with pandemic, it's just something else. But again, it's just but the other thing that I'm learning is that you get so you get so wrapped up in the success or failure, and that's the part that you have to really temper that, and just understand that you're going to make it through it, and your business is going to survive, and you're going to be fine.
Right.
That's kind of how I'm really trying to grasp on those kind of details these days.
It's a double, I don't know, it's a dichotomy, two-sided coin. What you talked about there is, part of you has to say, look, we're going to get through this. Right. You're going to be fine. Don't
Right.
overreact.
Right.
But there also has to be part of you that's totally in tune with what's going on, so you don't
Yep.
have your head in the sand.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're
about,
right. You're absolutely right. You can't just do one and just say, okay, things will be fine, and kind of look around and get hit in the head with a tree or whatever. No, you
right.
have to be proactive at all times. If something's happening to hurt your business, you have to be proactive to say, okay, how am I going to fix that? And the good news is that
Right.
the good news is that there are people out there that can help you. I mean, like yourself, you're a coach, right? And and quite honestly, I'm going through a sales training thing right now, and it's really changing my whole outlook. And excuse me. So I think that just the other thing, I guess, is not to assume that you can do everything by yourself. I
Right.
think everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs a mentor. Everybody needs somebody who can just look at it from a different angle and say, and hey, did you think of this, or did you think of that, or so I think that's really important, actually.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I think too, there's a physical benefit. I say physical, or a tangible benefit to having some sort of partner. You said coach. I'm thinking it could be an admin, a virtual
Mm-hmm.
admin, or a real admin, or somebody on your side that you can talk to. And sometimes they're providing tangible products or services or ideas that can be used.
Mm-hmm.
I also think they can help people with the mindset that you were talking about. You're going to get through this, because entrepreneurs aren't alone. I know when I started business, I'm going to be out there all by myself. You are, but only if you choose to be. If
Right.
you choose to have people in your circle that you can lean on, even if a 5-minute discussion doesn't give you a strategy or tactic, but it frees you up mentally to think
Right.
differently. then you'll be okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's something I've learned along the way. So what's next for your business? Where do you see it going? I mean, I know that you focus in quite a bit too, so you can talk to that, your business or for the nonprofit. What's next?
Oh, the nonprofit. Yeah, well, that was something that's a whole nother
A whole other
podcast.
discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's really it ran out of funds, but to be honest with you. But the business is
Sorry to hear that.
no, yeah, it happens. But the business, yeah, I'm still clawing, scratching, fighting, and innovating, and I really am planning on. I'm putting 100% of my effort into it,
Hmm.
and again, because it's not because it has nothing to do with me. Oh, I want to be rich. No, I don't really need yacht money. I'm happy with kayak money, right?
Right.
Um, but it's really because it's something that I have built by myself that is getting people business, and that without this product, there would be kind of that there would now be a hole in the market, because now I filled this hole that I just made or whatever.
Right.
So that part of it, that's the part that really keeps me going, is that this is really working for people. As I said, Preston got the 405, almost 500 leads in one afternoon. Another gentleman got 1,200% ROI in his first 3 days. A third gentleman told me he made 200 grand off of his card in
Wow.
the first year of
That's
use.
awesome.
So I mean, yeah, and these aren't made up numbers. These aren't. I didn't just pull these out of the whatever
Right.
stratosphere. So so that's the part that I'm really excited about, and I'm and I want to get to a point where more people have the advantage. I actually want to get into businesses with where sales managers can use them.
Hmm.
If your salespeople, if every one of them can boost their sales by having one of these, the cost effectiveness is crazy. The ROI is
Right.
just absolutely nuts. So that's really where we're going next with this.
So we should talk offline because I do a lot of networking. We can share share stories of places to go, people to meet with, to get your product out there a little bit more. So we can
That'd be
talk about
great.
that offline.
Sure.
And is how the people you're talking about with these success stories, are they removing the paper business card altogether, or is this supplement that they use?
No, I
Oh,
mean for me, obviously a paper card you can't do it virtually.
mhm.
In person, people usually forget them. Now people don't want them. They say, "Oh, I don't want your COVID
Right.
card." But no, I think honestly, for me, well before the pandemic, when I first started using them, I never brought a card. I didn't have to, because what you can do is you can bookmark on your phone your QR
Hmm.
code. You just show them your QR code, and so just go ahead and scan this, and it's it. You don't have to do it, because they're just going to take your card and throw them in the pile of the rest of them and in the trash anyway, because that's
Yeah.
really what they do with the paper card. So no, it absolutely does replace it. And think of that, just even for the savings alone, for if you do like trade shows or a lot of stuff where you're getting a lot of paper cards out there, it pays for itself, but it pays for itself in so many different ways as well. So
Right. It's funny. I went to a networking meeting a couple weeks ago, and there were, I want to say, 25 people, open networking at a chamber, and four people came to this networking event without business cards.
hmm
So we went around. I said, I'm going to give you all some free business coaching. Don't go to networking without a
yeah,
business.
you have to have something,
Right.
but
Even if you have that, you always have that.
but
Right.
but here's a perfect example of that. So this was before the pandemic. It was downtown Atlanta, right around Christmas time, and I'm in Dallas, so it's like it's a schlep for me to drive down there. But
Hmm.
but it was a good event, so I went down there and I got there. This is towards the end, so they scanned my card, and he's looking at it, and he's got this big beaming smile on his face, and I asked him, I said, Jim, can I ask you a question? He goes, what? I said, how many people do you expect you are in this room right now? And he looked around. And he said, I don't know, 100, 125. I said, that sounds about right. I said, how many of them will you remember when you go home tonight? And he looked at me and he said, Well, you're one of them, that's for sure, because of this. And that's really what the key, what our, that's not by accident. We do that on purpose, but that's what we want to do. We want to be the person that they call out of, and have the other 80 cards or however many cards they got in their pocket that goes in the trash. So that's
Right.
it's, and that's really how effective that the digital card can be if it's a good one, not just the, as I said, there are other digital cards out there, but we really almost distance ourselves because we're far more robust than what they're trying to do. They're just trying to get your Wikipedia out there. That's not our focus at all. So,
So you had mentioned when we spoke before, you mentioned something about packages. What
yes,
can you just give people a brief overview of what a package looks like or what the options are?
sure. Well, again, there are so many different layers to the onion. And as you know, as being a software developer, and I think we talked about this before, a piece of software is always living and breathing.
Hmm.
And if you're not updating, if you're not, so we've added a lot of features along the way. So we have our basic elite package, which is $500 to get started. And there's a maintenance fee, a monthly maintenance fee as well. And then we have the elite and then the groundbreaker and the trailblazer and the bellwether and then the godfather, because you got to have the godfather,
Gotta
right?
have a Godfather, of course. All
um
right.
and so it ranges anywhere between $500 and $1,600 as a
Okay.
one-time fee. However, if you think about that, so people think, man, for a digital card, that's a lot. Because again, we're not really like any of those digital cards. But if you look at it in comparison to what you're spending in digital marketing, I know a guy who charges $2,500 a month to help you with his
Yeah.
LinkedIn. I know of I spent two grand myself on a Facebook ad and got bupkis in
Right.
return. So that as a digital marketing expenditure, it's that's what I'm saying. And again, I'm not just saying this for the heck of it, but at some point I am going to raise my prices so that they're more on par with with what's going on in the digital marketing space. I'm not doing that next week or anything that like that, but
Right.
at some point within the next few months, I think I'm going to really do that, because it really, when people say to me, okay, like I made 200 grand off my card. Oh yeah, you only paid $500 for your card. How'd that work for you? You know what I mean?
You
So
know,
it's just does and I'm not saying I'm going to charge thousands and thousands,
right.
but just a little boost would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, you triggered a couple different thoughts there. I hope I remember them here about pricing because I work with people on pricing quite a bit,
Uh-huh.
right? And one of them, some people think, well, my price is just my cost, right? And once you've developed it, your cost is relatively minor, I would think. There's
Right.
tweaks and customizations and time put into it, but the pricing needs to be based on the end user's value,
Right.
right? That's one thing is your cost versus what they're getting. If they're getting $200,000 of business out of it, their value is much higher
Right.
than your
Right.
cost. So that
Right.
gives you kind of a window. The other thing is, I'm sure people look at your product as that cost versus the cost of getting the printed cards. How many, they say, well, I'm going to spend X in a year. Maybe they spend
Right.
couple $100 a year in printing cards. But my assumption, though, is because yours is electronic, your savings goes even into the digital marketing processes because now you're loading. I assume you're connecting information with other parts of their digital marketing platform, which is where the real savings are. It's not on the paper cards; it's on the
Right.
process time after
No,
the fact.
absolutely. That's why I rarely even mention the savings with paper cards, because
Right.
that's really not it. We
Right. Well, I'm
with
saying
that.
it because I'm sure people are thinking it.
Right. No, exactly. I appreciate that. So with the Trailblazer, that gives you not only the animation, which is really crazy. If you see my card, you'll see what the animation looks like. But the
Mhm.
Trailblazer also has a portal where you can text back, where people can opt in to when they text Gabe to 321-421-5213. They opt into my marketing, my text marketing.
Right.
And anybody, so if anybody says, "Oh, I don't want you to send me spam text," whatever, you can hit the STOP. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
It's real simple, and you don't get bothered again. But there's a lot of clients who want to know, like, when is my next event? Because we're always doing things to try and further business for not only our clients, but for people who are kind of our neighbors and friends and stuff like that. We're always trying. We never stop at trying to get them more business. So even once they buy the card, so if they're on, if you know, you might not have a card, but you get onto our distribution list, and now he's doing a special on he's going to do a B2B connections event next week. Oh, he's doing a LinkedIn Live. Maybe I'd like to learn about that. Oh, he's got one of his card owners is going to speak about something. So there's always something good coming along.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, and I've got the card here, right? It's got this web, it's got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can follow them, you can email them, you can get on the mailing list, you can order, you can schedule appointments with them, and he's got everything right there. And it looks like there's a video, and then there's a little video automation built in. So it's got huge amounts of functionality to it. So yeah, that's cool. It is a little different than what I've seen in other digital cards. So absolutely agree with you there. So, well, thank you for sharing that. Is there any last thing you want to make sure people know about that I didn't ask?
Well, again, if you whenever this gets published, I'm sure I'll have an event coming up. So if you want to go to the website, you can. If you can get my card, that's fine. The link under my name, which is dabc.io/Gabe. Everybody in our company gets a keyword. My keyword is Gabe. If you go to dabc.io/Gabe, that's also to my card. If you get on, if you go to the website and the events page, there's always something to join. You know, we welcome. We just started public events. We were having events only for our card owners, and then they wanted to have people come in. So there's public events, all kinds of stuff. And I'm always, my calendar's right on my cards. If anybody wants to talk about it, as you can tell, I'm not shy about talking about stuff. I do like to do that. So
okay, well, cool. Well, it's great meeting with you today. I appreciate it, and we'll be sure to get this out in just a few weeks.
Thanks so much, John. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yep.